長野市内です。水害被害調査。水害被害調査。 ペンライブで、18。そうか。いいんだ、いいんならいいんだ、ここ。でも、いけるかったらいけるよね。
Because we have to be less C++ that sets it apart from other programming languages? What makes it a unique language, a unique tool that we can use to solve particularly interesting problems? And also, what ways those differences actually turn into challenges when programmers are using it? What sharp edges emerge because of the way C++ is different from your other programming language tools? We're not going to actually do any deep comparison with other languages. This isn't a we're better or worse. And I certainly don't know any other languages nearly to the same extent that I know this one. But we can explain in, I think, a lot of depth what C++ really is. And for that, we need to start with a semi-serious question. What programming language is best? Fundamentally, any theories? No. Yes, it's there. A lot of trolls got it. Yeah. We'll just break this fine. Let's do it. So what do we mean by best? What goes into best? There's a lot of things that we could be individually optimizing for when we decide what language might be best. Any of these, for instance, and I'm sure that you can come up with others. Depending on your preferences and the task at hand, you might weigh one of these factors more heavily than another at any given point in time. The best choice for one task is not the best choice for another. Our choice for best programming language to write the indexer for new research, I think, is fairly valuable. And the professor's choice of what language to teach lesson 1 in may also be valuable. And those don't have to be the same result. Best depends on context. Best depends on your preference. For example, I think this talk is best because this talk has the maximum number of viewers up on the stage. I think it's the best. We all work together? Barely. Okay, just checking. West Coast, East Coast. Unfortunately, when it comes to best, programmers are fundamentally bad about this question, right? So, an example in 3 parts. Thank you, Twitter. Hey, I'm an artist and I use watercolors. That's cool. I use oil paint. Lovely. Oh, I play guitar. Awesome. I'm a drummer. We should jam together sometime. I'm a programmer. I use React. Angular is the best thing. I'm coming for you. Thank you, programming Twitter. Also, a reminder for everyone, code of conduct. Second reminder, be good channel. Don't do that. So for everyone that's saying C++ is best, of course. We have news for you. Slow your roll. Brace yourself for some nuance. Because really asking what programming language is best.
長野市桜新町になっております。上越6時自転車で行けそうですね。
The question is meaningless. Best is not universal, right? We have to account for context and requirements. The right tool for one job may not be the right tool for another job. And that comparison is critical because a programming language is a tool. We have multiple programming languages in the industry and they are well suited to different tasks, just as we have many variations on other types of tools. If you saw Chandler's talk earlier in the week, you know that there are different kinds of hammers, just as there are different kinds of wrenches and saws. Since I did the first draft of these slides, we're doing saws today. I particularly like the comparison to saws because there is a seemingly infinite variation in design, purpose, and usage for something that could be all just described as this would cut through some material via abrasion. We have clipping saws for fine detail work, or crosscut saws for 2 lumberjacks to take down a tree. Lumberjacks. We have hand saws and power saws. There's saws for craftspeople and saws for bulk work. Some saws have infrastructure to them. It reminds me, in fact, of one of my favorite, slightly too long ago, would be passages from Neil Stephenson's Cryptonomicon. Good story called Storytime with Titus. Now, when Bobby Shafto had gone to high school, had been slotted into a vocational track and ended up taking a lot of shop classes. A certain amount of his time was therefore naturally devoted to sawing large pieces of wood into smaller pieces. Numerous saws were available in the shop for that purpose, some better than others. A sawing job that would just be ridiculously hard and lengthy using a handsaw would be accomplished with a power saw. Likewise, certain cuts and materials would cause the smaller power saws to further heat or seize up parts better, and therefore called for larger power saws. But even with the biggest power saw in the shop, Bobby Shafto always got the sense that he was imposing some kind of stress on the machine. It was slowly occurring to that material in the vibrate, it would heat up, and if you pushed the material too fast, it would turn into jam. But then, one summer, he went in a mill where they have a bandsaw. The bandsaw, its supply of blades, its spare parts, maintenance supplies, special tools, and manuals occupied a whole room. It was the only tool he had ever seen with infrastructure. It was the size of a car. The 2 wheels that drove the blade were giant 8-spoked things that looked to have been solid slowly rise up out of the earth, as if a freight train was approaching from far away, and finally the blade would begin to move, building speed slowly but inexorably until the teeth disappeared, and it became a bolt of pure hellish energy, stretched taut between the table and the machinery above it. Anecdotes about accidents involving the bandsaw were told in hushed voices, and not usually commingled with other industrial accident anecdotes. Anyone think about programming languages right now? Jokes aside, there are some differences between saws and programming languages. I know, shock, right? When you're looking at saws, you can tell it wants some things about them. You can look at this, and you probably have a sense that this is for detail work, and isn't the type of thing you should pull off the wall if you want to cut a car in half. Whereas when you see a picture like this, you instinctually have a different sense that this might be good for something else. Say, no wonder. Different tools have different affordances. The design of the thing naturally affects our understanding of what it is useful for. Physicality of design helps us reach for the right tool for a task, without necessarily relying on being told by an expert. This is where the metaphor around tools versus programming languages starts to make sense. See, programming languages, these are I get used, they don't really have handles, or buttons, or guards, or things you actually physically hold. They just become boxes. They just become boxes, but that's the thing with what programming language did. If you're holding it wrong, there's nothing about the tool that kind of gives you a sense, oh, why am I holding the chainsaw with two fingers? Maybe that's dangerous. It doesn't give you any reason to think about what is going to be good for it, or bad. And this gets even worse when you think about how that programming language is going to be used over a long period of time. We're not interested just in writing software once, but in maintaining it over a long period of time. And glancing at a programming language briefly isn't going to tell you how this programming language will really behave and allow you to develop software over years or even decades. Consider the Go programming language, which was designed specifically for the use case of large-scale software systems. Despite everyone working on it thinking about this reality, they forgot to put in a fundamental feature to allow it to scale well, type areas, and they had that add that later. That is my fault. Full step side. So, this is a bit weird. Look at this. So, data. So, this is a little tricky. When we try to graph programming languages, we think about programming languages, flexible programming languages, good at UI or web frameworks, or back-end multi-threaded server programming languages. You might think about whether they are compiled or interpreted, whether they're static compiled or dynamic compiled. These are good categorizations of very close. They're large buckets. Within any one of these, we don't have these nuanced senses of what the language is optimizing for. Is it, trying to give you good performance or UI design? Do you prototype your software in this? How can it work over time if you evolve that software for 2 decades? What happens when new programming paradigms come out, or we get new hardware in our data centers? Will we be able to utilize it effectively? Is there a library ecosystem for it? All of these nuances are lost because we can't tell at a glance what they're going to do with a particular programming language. Ultimately, we end up treating C++ like other programming languages, and that doesn't go well most of the time, because C++ is a big different programming language, and these differences actually matter to users. We really should be thinking what kind of warning signs or guidelines we need to put on the tin of the programming language, or the box of the programming language, in order for us to use the programming language well to solve the problems the language is good at solving. And that kind of brings us to what is important to C++? What is different about C++ compared to all of the other languages that are in the same large bucket as C++? So if you ask a committee member this question, what is C++? Most of us, not uniformly, but most of us will almost certainly talk about performance. And that's certainly what I've heard from most of you this week. We'll toss around terms like you do not pay for what you do not use, and leave no room for a more efficient language between us and the hardware. And that has been a great thing for the committee to focus on. It's given us a single-mindedness that has served the language very well. But in practice, it is also, it is more than a language just about performance. A lot of what matters, not just to language nerds and committee people, is the technical legacy and the general C ecosystem. We share tools and build systems and bits of language dialect with C, and that has shaped C++ quite a bit, maybe more than we usually admit. We can go into the rest of the points on this list, which are all important in their own right, but really C++ traces its roots to those top 2 things primarily. Focus on performance, for the most part, and piggyback on C. I'll dig in a little bit to these legacies. Aside from those high-level descriptors, C++ is specifically unusual because of its technical details and how it shares with C. Especially the legacy of separate compilation and linkage, the inherent binary distribution model from C, and the compatibility model that stems from both of those things. Remember, in order to bootstrap tool support and language usage back in the early days, C++ was built purely as an extension to C, as a pre-processing transpilation step. Anywhere that C objects, libraries, or binary outputs were okay, C++ was automatically available and relevant. That choice was absolutely critical to the adoption and success of C++ as a language. But it can also be seen as the source of some major and deeply startling features of the language and the ecosystem. Probably the single biggest surprise for scholars of the language when comparing to other programming languages is the fact that C++ has specification for things that are ill-formed, no diagnostic required, NPR. That means the standard specifically calls such a scenario ill-formed, meaning but since diagnosing that particular scenario may be impossible, or at least computationally infeasible, with the legacy of separate compilation and linkage, your toolchain is allowed to ignore the ill-formedness and keep on going. I'll say that in smaller words. This is a language that has false positives for the question, was this a program?